Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, all things considered.
So we met in January. We went to Home Depot headquarters in January, and that's where we walked around unmasked. It was pre-COVID in the U.S. and everything was really great then. And now we're in quarantine. So what we wanted to do was do a little follow-up where we filmed it in Atlanta. So we're going to do Back to the Future style, where we go back in time to Atlanta and watch some of the clips, and then we're going to fast forward to today to ask just some follow-up questions because so much has changed. How does that sound?
That sounds great to me. It's good to be connected today.
I know, it's great. So how has Home Depot, what have you changed since COVID? What are you especially proud of, and what do you think was sort of a challenge for you?
So, the challenge that we've had as a communications team and an organization is what everyone has been challenged with. You're in a unique situation and you're building for the unknown, right? So what I tell you today may not be the same thing tomorrow because things are moving and changing so rapidly. And it's unique. We've never been in this situation before. And as communications people, we've been trained for crises. But this is different because it's not exclusive to us. The whole world is going through it at the same time, and it's not controlled by us. But I think we've learned a lot through this process, quite frankly. And as a team, what I'm most proud of are the things that have come about on the team from a talent perspective. This required us to think differently, to grow a strong enough stomach to understand that we cannot respond in the usual way to an unusual situation. So we had to reimagine how we do our day-to-day. And we were also working differently, operating differently day-to-day because we're all working remotely. So those impromptu conversations of going into someone's office and walking past the desk is not possible. So how do we do that? What have we learned? We've learned that, boy, can we move swiftly and quickly more than we ever thought we could. That's what we've learned. We've also learned that we've worked well as an agile team. So each of us, we have our specialty of the lever that we pull for the situation that we're in. COVID-19 has forced us to work independently in different ways as an agile team because we've worked on complex things and it required a village to lift. And that's what we've seen. So talk about cross-functional teams and the efficient manner that the team has done. I'm just so incredibly proud of the work we've done over the past few months. And literally, we've been building for the unknown. It's been great.
All right. So looking into the crystal ball of the future, which is hard to do because it changes so much, how do you think the pandemic has changed our profession and the industry?
It's interesting because this has been a learning process for all of us, right? And I think there are a number of things that comes to mind when I think about how will it change our profession. I always considered us business partners. And through this pandemic, we've had to pull the lever on some things that we've refined over the years. So things like making sure we have our finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry, paying attention to what our competitors are doing, what businesses that are like us are doing, where the consumer's mindset is, what the consumer behavior looks like. So that insight and that data will always play a major part and will always be looked upon to make sure that we keep our finger on that. But what I think we've also learned is that there are times where you just have to reimagine the way that you do things. And as you're reimagining the way you do things, everyone's opinion becomes even more important during those times. So someone asked me a question before, what is the advice that you would give to entry-level people when they're going into the workforce? And I think especially in the environment that you're looking at now, even having been in the business as long as I have been and people who have been in the business longer than me, we don't always have all the answers. And especially in unique times like this, it's important for us to listen and hear different perspectives around the table. And so this is the first time where I think we have 5 generations in the workplace at the same time who literally operate differently from each other. And so as we navigated through this pandemic, it was important for me to make sure that everyone around the table didn't think and act like me, and that I gave thought and listened to what everyone said, because that was going to help probably influence what our outcomes were going to look like. Because the consumer's mindset was changing so rapidly and evolving so rapidly. So, I think it will be our job to continue to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on outside of our organizations, but it will be even more of a responsibility on us as leaders in our profession to make sure that we're developing an environment that's vulnerable and transparent, so that all levels of team members feel comfortable to give their point of view, because that does help shape the outcome, especially in situations where it's not door A or door B, because it's so unique and we've never done this before. The culture that we're cultivating, the environments that we have, will play a very important part for us as leaders, I think, in the future. That's going to be crucial to how we do business.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to quickly zip back to Atlanta and ask you some Jane Flippin questions, and then we will zip back to here and ask you some COVID-related questions, if that works for you.
Yes, that's perfect.
From Atlanta, Georgia, and here with Yanique Woodall. She's the Senior Director of Brand Communication at the Home Depot. And this is the Store Support Center.
This is the Store Support Center.
And you want to tell us maybe a little bit about where we are in the Store Support Center?
Absolutely. So we're going to take a tour of our museum here at the Store Support Center, and it tells us the history of the Home Depot. It's one of my favorite places to come to for ideating or just looking at our journey of where we've been and where we're going. So it's pretty special to me.
And Yanique is one of our wonderful IPR trustees. So you ready to get started with today?
I'm excited to get started.
Okay, let's go. So we're in front of, we can talk a little bit about Home Depot. There's a lot of orange here, so which is good. And this is the Orange Promise, but and it's all these wonderful signatures from store managers, commitment to the promise.
Yes.
But you also have a really neat set of brand values and the value proposition. Mm-hmm. So do you want to maybe tell us about that?
So one of the incredible things about joining this organization, and there's the day that you interview for the job and the feeling you get, and then you get in and you say, wow, this is really what it is. And this is a values-driven organization. You will hear our CEO, Craig Meniere, say one of the greatest gifts that our founders gave us is our culture. And we are driven by our values, and our culture is an example of that. We believe in taking care of each other, taking care of the customers that we serve, and taking care of the communities. It's great to be a part of this organization. It's great to be orange-blooded. Why there's so much orange.
And then part of that commitment, I know, is you're huge supporters of veterans.
Yes.
A lot of veterans. Even when we checked in today with security, it was staffed by veterans, which was really neat. So tell us maybe a little bit about that and sort of what's Home Depot's veterans.
What you will see as you learn about the Home Depot are the great efforts through the Home Depot Foundation. And there are many things that the Home Depot Foundation does, and one of them is supporting veterans, our nation's heroes. And whether that is by veteran housing and helping them with critical home repairs, or even looking at our trades training program that we just launched in partnership with Home Builders Institute in trying to help address the skilled labor gap. We started that program with military individuals that were transitioning into civilian life, becoming veterans, and taking them through this training program because it gives them another opportunity to learn a trade skill. So this company, the Home Depot, is rich with supporting the veterans, but also supporting local communities with disaster relief. But no one does disaster relief like the Home Depot. And through our partners, we are, right after a disaster hits, some of the first underground, helping the local community. If there's a flooding, to start gutting and ripping things out. You will see our associates volunteering with their orange shirt on, helping from the local retail stores, helping individuals within the community. It's really a special place to be.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, especially after hurricanes, and they show people trying to, with their Home Depot.
And it
aprons
just,
and
it
everything.
speaks to the values. It speaks to our culture. You feel proud to be a part of this organization, and it feels good to be a part of an organization that believes in giving back.
Right.
And shows it.
And what research shows is that it's also very critical to different audience stakeholders, both internally and externally.
It does.
So it
It
makes
does. It
sense.
shows that you feel connected, and it helps with productivity because you feel good about what you do every day and who you're working alongside.
Right. Agreed. All right. So you ready to go to the next thing?
Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
Okay, so we are in the merchandise store in the Home Depot. This is so cool.
It is so great.
Yeah, and this is, so you oversee as part of your responsibilities the branded merchandise. So you have, there's just so much like great Home Depot
There's everything
stuff
Home
and
Depot,
all
football.
throughout.
Yeah.
So tell us sort of what that looks like, because I think that's a
Yeah.
different thing than a lot of maybe other comms people do.
Yeah, so branded merchandise falls under brand communications here at the Home Depot. What's exciting about this job is that it really reinforces, we talked a lot about our values, and our values of being proud to take care of each other, take care of the customers, take care of our local communities. And branded merch helps with that because you're so proud. It's okay to wear a shirt or carry around a mug that says the Home Depot. We are so excited to offer this to our employees, and I am excited that I get the chance to look for some of the coolest things that you see.
Yeah, and I think you and I were talking a little off camera about the values of Home Depot and how some of the, because of the strong values, and this is sort of the guiding post. And why I say that is because a lot of organizations do have values, but they may not subscribe to them in a way. They're just,
On the wall.
On the wall,
Yes.
right? So tell us, how does that, when you have a company that really lives by its values, how does that sort of change your work or what you do?
It actually makes my work much easier. As a communications person, we have to make a lot of decisions every day. Sometimes things don't go right. Sometimes we get opportunities for partners. It seems great, but it may not be a right fit for us. We make all those decisions based on our values. Home Depot, one of the values is doing the right thing. And I enjoy that. And I enjoy that because if something is not going the way we expected, it's what is right for the customer, what's right for the partner. We're always going to stand by that. I think the difference between an organization having values and being driven by their values, there's a gap there. You can have values, but it's on the wall. We are driven by our values. So we run our day-to-day, our business based on our values. It's part of our culture.
Nice. Well, thanks for showing us the merchandise
Thank you for
store.
coming.
And we'll see our next location.
Yes. And Tina, I was sharing with you that we focus on product innovation PR, and this seal is something that we are incredibly proud of. Home Depot every year celebrates the most innovative products that we're selling in our stores. And my team had the opportunity to come up with a product innovation seal. This was the first time that a seal was playing a part in a customer's buying consideration, because they could actually walk in a store and see that this particular product won for 2018, 2019, and now we're working on 2020. But it was just an incredible way to think about the customer experience and think about how innovation plays a part of that.
You're also on the board of the PRSA Foundation.
Yes.
And you're the treasurer.
Yes, and you serve on that
I
board.
serve on the
as
board
well.
too.
Yes.
But I don't have an elevated role. I'm just a board member. But a lot of the work they do is focused on diversity. And
Yes.
you had a big part in the Diverse Voices book and the launch. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about what the PRSA Foundation does and the diverse launches?
Absolutely.
Diverse launches, diverse voices. Book.
Absolutely. So PRSA Foundation focuses on diversity and inclusion within the communications industry. One of the greatest things that they have done most recently is the launch of Diverse Voices. It's over 40 stories from prominent people within the industry that talk about their journey and how they've navigated when you think about D&I in the industry. So it's candid stories. What's so special to me about the book is it's not only great for a professional that's currently in the industry, but it's also great in the academic world as well, because it's good for a student who's about to go into the industry, because they are tomorrow's managers, tomorrow's leaders, and we want them to be able to have an open mind on what D&I means to our industry.
And so the Diversity Action Alliance, which is a lot of the different industry organizations like the PRSA Foundation, IPR is part of it, PAGE, PR Council, a whole list of them. Why are we still so focused on this as an industry? Why aren't where we need to be? What are the challenges and what do we need to do a better job?
So I think we're progressing. And I think that progress comes from communication. We're talking about it. Advancement is going to come from action, and the alliance, it's part of that. That's an action. So it's everyone rallying together around this very important topic. And I think the reason why we continue to talk about it within our industry is because society walks and talks in all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds. And there's a reason why when you look around the table, you shouldn't always see people that look just like you, because there are different points of view and different types of contribution that you bring to the table that helps us understand the many different audiences that some of these big brands support and serve. So it's our responsibility as the communications people. We get our brands closer to the audience. We have to understand that audience. We have to understand that on many different levels.
That we're about to launch the results of a study that we did, a quantitative version looking at women in leadership in the industry. And even though it wasn't focused on like racial and ethnicity as PRSA Foundation, some of the interesting findings just for overall were, there are certain things that are real challenges for our industry, such as work-life fit, people making sure they have strong skills, mentorship. We had 20% of our respondents have never had a mentor.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just these very basic things that I think maybe we take for granted. And what we also found is that while there weren't any differences in terms of like leadership skills, we still have a gap in who is leadership, both in organizations and also in the comms function. Do you have any thoughts about that or anything?
I think, well, just one of the things that you just hit on that I think is incredibly important is mentorship. It's one thing to make it into an organization. It's one thing to make it to the level of where you want it to be, but it's another to navigate through it. And being able to walk arm in arm with someone that can help you go through that journey is amazing. I mean, it unlocks doors, makes light bulbs go off, and it's disappointing to hear that some people have never had a mentor.
Or even even more so, even a sponsor who sort of really pushes you and guides you and is very deliberate about it.
Yeah, and I heard someone talk recently at an event that we had for PRSA. Georgia, the Georgia chapter.
You just had for the Diverse Voices.
And the gentleman talked about a number of things that you should look for in an organization, and a mentor is one of them, and also an advocate, because they serve in different ways. The mentor is going to help you, especially when it comes to your profession and grow. But the advocate is really helping you be on that platform. Visibility is important. I talk to my team about visibility, so people know who you are and they know your good work. And it's not just the work that they're seeing, but they're also seeing the person that's behind the work. So I think without an advocate and a mentor, it's very hard to unlock some of these areas that are so tough for us that we keep talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to go and ask some questions about Yanique.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions in
Okay.
this last segment, but first, you should probably tell us about all these Home Depot aprons?
So another special place here at the Home Depot, walls and walls of aprons that have been designed by our associates for some of our ELT members. And what you learn from this is not only our culture, everyone's passionate about the store they work at and the region that they support, but how incredibly talented our associates are when it comes to artistry.
So in this part, I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Yes.
Borrowed from Inside the Actor Studio with James Lipton.
Great show.
Yeah, it was really entertaining, especially the end, where he asked a series of questions so we get to know you better.
Yes.
All right, what is your favorite word?
Great.
That's great.
Yes, that's great. And that could either be a good great or a not so great great, but it's going to be great.
Cool. What's your least favorite word?
Weird.
Oh, so what's it about weird?
Weird, especially when it's used towards someone, I feel like everyone's unique. And I tell my kids that everyone was created in their own uniqueness. So whenever I hear the word weird, I always say the person's not weird, they're adding their value in a different way.
I like that. People called me weird a lot growing up, so there. Okay, so if heaven exists, what would you want God to say as you walk into the pearly gates?
You were a great mom. They're going to be okay.
Oh, now I am sort of crying, Yanique.
Okay, so we're back here, living through COVID, looking ahead to the future. So I do have some questions for you. Have you taken up any new hobbies or sort of discovered something new since you've been in quarantine?
So while this has been really different for me, there are some silver linings, right? So I have 3 kids, and it's been interesting, them being home and me being home, them being home all summer, me being home working. And I find myself now not looking for those extraordinary moments, but just trying to enjoy those ordinary ones. And I know that sounds a bit cliche, but the things that I've enjoyed, my oldest daughter, going on daily walks with her, not something that I was always able to do when I was coming back and forth from the office. And now we're able to do that once I close down by end of day. And that's been nice. You can learn a lot from a 14-year-old, a lot more than you thought you could.
I'm sure. And I've also seen like people just rediscovering their neighborhood, that they've never really been out and really got to know their neighborhood as much too.
Absolutely. And I can say I've been in my neighborhood for 3 years, and I have met new neighbors to me, and I am to them, even though we've been residing here for a while. So, and that's because many more people are out and just trying to enjoy the weather and get outside, to be honest. That's been important for me, that escape. So I talk with my team a lot about balance, because I think health and well-being is important, especially in moments like this, where we are working from home. It's really easy to stay on the computer and just continue to go and go, but making sure that they're taking breaks throughout the day, just a minute to get up, stretch your legs. It's absolutely important. And I've enjoyed being able to do that. I definitely think the escape moments are important. So getting a good book has been nice, because that's that moment to escape. I just recently read Bob Iger's A Ride of a Lifetime. Was thoroughly enjoyable, and great leadership tips as well. So it's whatever everyone can do to make sure that they're getting that balance, I think is important.
If you had any book recommendations or movie or show recommendations that you've loved since the pandemic, do you have any others besides the Bob Iger book?
And also, Brene Brown has a podcast that's very, very deep and very intense and thoughtful. So I've enjoyed listening to her lately too.
And what have you missed the most?
Oh, I miss the team. I do. I'm so incredibly grateful for the individuals that I work alongside on a day-to-day basis. But I miss seeing them face to face and those impromptu chats and laughs, which just always gives you a little bit more to make it through the day. So I do miss that. I think we found some creative ways to continue to connect. We've discovered some new talents as well. We just did an outdoor watercolor session by way of WebEx. We all sat at our individual homes in our outdoor space, connected by way of WebEx. So that has been exciting, but finding those moments where we can continue to do fun things to have that balance has been great.
This wraps up our In a Car with IPR with Yanique. Thank you, Yanique, for being here. We really appreciate you doing take 2 of In a Car post-COVID. So thank you so much.
So if you like this episode, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out more In a Car with IPR in the future.
Thank you for watching this episode of In a Car with IPR. Want to make a tax-deductible contribution to support this series and fund research in the profession? Please visit us at instituteforpr.org/contribute.